Let's get some trade news. Why not when we've got Cal Twomey in the box with us? Let's kick off with Calsher Dear. There's clearly going to be a logjam at the Hawks. They've got key forwards and key stocks coming out of their ears. I know they've tried him down back, but they've also got lots of key backs as well. Everyone wants a bit of Calsher Dear at the moment.
They do, and Hawthorn want to keep him, so they've offered a 2-year deal to keep him, but he has a decision to make. He has two decisions to make. He wants to either stay or explore his options, and if he explores his options, where does he actually look to? Because he's not going to be short of suitors, and the clubs are coming hard for him. So Melbourne is one of those clubs that has interest in him, and I think the fit there is pretty good. You look at the young tall forwards there. I've got the microphone stuck in my mouth. That are coming through in Jacob Van Rooyen and also Matt Jefferson. So there's a couple there that he could suit alongside. Geelong's another club with interest in him, Jim. So that's real as well.
Does he like farming?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe he likes the surf.
Yeah, it's a good option too.
And then St Kilda and a couple of other clubs, I'm sure, will ask the question as well. But he has to come to the view about whether he wants to stay or go, or whether he sees it through and knows that there might be some time spent in the VFL in the next year or two. But for the longer term, is that the right place for him to be? Because Ben King is coming to the Hawks.
He is coming.
Yeah, he's coming to the Hawks. He's coming to the Hawks, and Mitch Lewis is staying, having just signed a 4-year deal, knocked back a lot of money and a big offer from Collingwood to do that. So he's not moving or losing his spot. So it's about how you shape that up. And, of course, Jack Gunston is playing on next year as well.
Yeah, and there'd be a few others that might be considering, the fringe players, of course, McCabe and Ramsden and these sort of guys. And then even down back, what do they do with Scrimshaw as well if they're so locked down back? It's a good place to be for the Hawks, but also Nick Watson renegotiating the contract, the most exciting player one of the most exciting players in the game at the moment.
Not yet, he isn't in terms of renegotiating, but the Hawks are open to looking at doing that because
I'll be open to doing it. Yeah, of course you would be.
Well, if you can extend him out even further. So just last year, about this time last year, he signed a 3-year extension through to the end of 2029. That deal's worth around $850,000 to $900,000 a year. So he hasn't even clicked into that deal yet, which is remarkable. But already he shows that he's already exceeded the value off that deal. He's one of the most exciting players in the competition. I think if there was an opportunity over summer for them to extend him out further, potentially to free agency and reward him appropriately, then they'd look at that. And as they should, because he's just there in terms of the Coleman medal. Those couple of games that he missed would probably end up costing him, but what an exciting season he's had.
Ed Allan, one of the younger emerging pies. Of course, all the discussion goes to their senior players. We learn, of course, Jeremy Howe and Collingwood are keen to do something there. Ed Allan, they've taken a bit of time to get there, and now they want to get there really quickly.
Yeah, so they've put a 2-year offer to Ed Allan, and what 6 weeks or so he's had. He's really locked in that spot, and it's been a long time coming now, having worked at this role for a number of years now, but athletically, the speed, the movement that he's been able to bring to that Collingwood side in a good patch of form for them is going to be rewarded with a 2-year deal there. So I think all along he's wanted to stay, and Collingwood has wanted to keep him, but they probably opened the door a little bit to a bit of rival interest there, but I think the starting point for Ed Allan will be to stay at Collingwood, and now those discussions are kicking off in earnest. And as you say, earlier in the week reported that Jeremy Howe's got a 1-year offer to play on and hopefully reach his 300th game next year.
The giant meatball heading up north, Dion Prestia. Chance at the Giants?
There's some reports this week around the interest from the Giants, particularly in a coaching role. And you know this better than anyone else in the box, Jim. It's hard to get coaches to Sydney, and it's been a challenge for the Giants and also the Swans at different points as well.
Well, they end up just trading coaches.
They do. Yep. Jeremy Laidler's been back and forth
Amon
a couple
Buchanan,
of times.
McVeigh, Leon Cameron. It's just like they instead of going left out of the house, they go right.
And they're both obviously trying really hard to get Simon Goodwin last year, and what an asset he's been for the Swans throughout this season. So that's part of the interest there. They've got a lot going on, though, the Giants. They've still got a lot of decisions that they have to make at the end of this year on a suite of their veterans. As we've been saying a few weeks now, I think it's unlikely that Jesse Hogan and Jake Stringer are there. I think that something would have to change now to see either of them at the Giants next year. But then Toby Green's got a decision to make. It has snuck under the radar, this call that Toby Green's got to make, because he's captain of the football club. He's their greatest ever player, and he's managed to laugh it off on his podcast, basically.
He keeps playing it down to fine league, doesn't he?
For the best part of the year. It's been magnificently done, but he's out of contract and has got real interest from the Cats, who clearly like to tap into these unrestricted free agents because you don't have to give up any draft capital to get there, and he's got some interest in moving back to Melbourne as well.
And a young lad who's been part of the Hoodies coach, magnificent work in Josh Fraser, and he plays in the forward line, Talor Byrne.
He's been exciting, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Good pick-up for the Blues. Pick 45 in last year's draft, so started contract talks to go on for a third season. He's obviously only in his first season at the Blues this year, but kicked 14 goals from 15 games. And his last couple of weeks as well has been pretty special as a small forward. Hard role to play in your first year, but has done enough to suggest that he's going to be a longer-term option for them and looking to lock him in for a third season.
Let's talk Essendon, Cal. Is there action tomorrow?
Action today. So the interview started today from the perspective of these final four. So James Hurd's interview was today. I also believe Murray Davis's interview might have been today at some stage as well, and I'd expect by the end of tomorrow these interviews are wrapped up with Mark McVeigh, and also Jamie Graham, of course, is in town as of Friday because Fremantle is playing on Saturday at the G against Melbourne. So these dueling priorities for a premiership aspirant in terms of Fremantle assistant coach Jamie Graham. Not even mentioning the Carlton job with him as well. That's clearly a big part of his process too. So, yeah, the Bombers are moving and things are starting to gather steam.
So will they have first crack at Jamie Graham then, do you think? Do you think he'll be forced to take that job if they... Or forced sounds the wrong...
Take it.
Wrong term, perhaps, but...
I think the conclusion to the Essendon job will happen before the Carlton Footy Club gets to that part. Yeah. And the Josh Fraser's success as an interim has probably meant that they can take a little bit more time and not stew on it, but work through it.
We've always highlighted the coaching vacancies. Now, Tassie needed theirs. They needed someone to build a club, a brand ambassador. The difference between what Carlton are looking for and Essendon, it feels like Carlton are just looking to just appoint a coach. Because obviously the experience of Davies and Wright being there. Would I be right in saying the selection for Essendon is building a football department?
Well, you're taking over a different football department to start with, aren't you? There's 6 people who've already left the football department, and what are we at? August 6th, and there's going to be more to come out of that football department as well. So, and not just bit part players in all of this. You've got the senior coach in Brad Scott, the head of footy in Dan McPherson, the club psychologist Ben Robbins, a key assistant, probably their most important assistant in their whole mix. Ben Jacobs ran a lot of their work under Brad Scott, so he was really integral within that as well. And Cam Roberts, who's their forward line coach. So these are not bit part roles. This is a whole clean sweep of what's happening at the Essendon Footy Club. I don't think, though, that the assistants and also James Hurd as part of this process are necessarily coming in and saying this is the super group that we're going to bring with you. This is, I think, for all of these participants about landing the role and then working it through there. And I also think that Essendon isn't going to be going through whoever gets this job and saying go grab your 5 or 6 people and we'll build around you. The club wants a real say on how this looks, and the football department is going to be structured very differently next year.
So have you got a feel, I mean, I'll come back to that in a moment, but have you got a feel for which way, what you think they are headed, are leaning towards, or is it not clear still for you?
I'd be educatedly guessing, and I don't want to do that just at the minute. But
how about you educatedly guess then?
I mean, all along, I think that Mark McVeigh and James Hurd have been right in the running, and I still believe that for different reasons. And I think that Jamie Graham is in that mix as well. I would be surprised if Murray Davis was the guy this time around, but I think from an experience point of view and profile point of view, being a part of this process for him is also important in his long-term build to be a senior coach. So that's the way I'm narrowing it at the moment, but honestly, nothing surprises me about Essendon.
To get back to your next point about the footy structure, is there a world where McVeigh and Hurd both end up there?
Because Dean Solomon has flagged he will go on next year.
Well, interesting on that, Jim. I'm not as certain about that because he has spoken today and he didn't absolutely lock in that he'll be there next year. And I think there is some uncertainty about whether whoever gets the role as senior coach, whether Dean Solomon is there in 2027. He's still got his family, obviously, up in the coast, up in Queensland, New South Wales there, on the border there. So I am not 100% certain, and I don't think Dean Solomon is 100% certain that he will be there regardless of who the senior coach is. And I think it's been a little strange how this has played out from an interim coaching point of view with Dean Solomon's role in this and his reluctance to rule himself out or necessarily absolutely put his hand up at stages throughout this process. So I've found that a little bit odd.
I don't think they did it by design, but do you think time has been their friend? Because when if you went back 3 weeks ago, the momentum behind, call it Team Herd, and the Essendon faithful get Herdy in. Do you think that time has allowed people to get to know the likes of a Murray Davis and a Jamie Graham, where it feels like a more normal process? Yeah, they're all normal process, but it feels more what we're accustomed to.
Yep. Yeah, I think it has given them time, but they've also taken their time. Like, this is a long, long time and a process that's dragged out now more than 3 months. So we're getting to the point where...
Do you think that's been deliberate?
It's potentially, but also I think they also thought as a footy club that they were going to be better in the second half of this season, and we might see some performances. And what would that also mean for the interim coach, Dean Solomon, too, who was taking on the role? So they've let that play out, and ultimately they haven't been better, they've been worse.
When you said you thought the footy department would be different, what did you mean by that?
I still think they're working through the structure of how they settle things.
Was that Vozzo's report?
Yeah. And so Craig Vozzo's been involved in this whole process in and of itself, an intriguing element of this year.
Peculiar, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I think that's a fair word, because he was the CEO who built the previous football department. He then was tasked with going and finding the best practice football department, either globally or within the AFL, and has been guiding professionally and privately the current CEO, Tim Roberts, who was taken off the board, who he reported to when he was CEO, who's now then on board. He's now the CEO.
We need that red string going on the board.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. And also the fact that he was the link between the board and also John Wardrop, who now has played a key role in the process too, as part of the applicants all having to speak to John Wardrop, a former West Coast analyst who was very tight with Craig Vozzo. And also John Wardrop is a person who's been quoted as promoting the attributes of one of the applicants in Jamie Graham. So it's as I say, it's a unique place.
Did they miss by? I know the Herd thing happened so quickly, but how many potential candidates? Like, if they do end up landing Jamie Graham, how many candidates did they miss out on potentially?
That's you'll never know. But also, is that their fault either?
No.
Is that anybody's fault? We've got a club grade who's allowed to put his hand up.
Of course he is. I'm not blaming James. I'm just saying that's what happened.
No, but I think you ended up with the ones who generally are strong enough in their own beliefs and philosophy who put their hand up. And it's not saying the ones who, as you called, missed out are no good, but Essendon needed someone go, no, serve up McVeigh, serve up Solomon, serve up Herd, and I'll defeat them. Serve up Murray Davis. I'll grab this club by the scruff of the neck and come with me.
And maybe in the case of Corey Enright and also James Kelly, who've prioritised the Carlton job over Essendon, they feel like Carlton's the one they actually want, and they see the future there as being brighter, quicker, and the next couple of years a lot easier to step this through, rather than the Bombers, who are in for some more pain. There is no doubt about this. This 3 to 5 year plan is only a couple of years in.
All right, we're going to let you go, but when do you think we'll have a final decision?
I'd be surprised if by next week and on Thursday night we're not talking about the next senior coach of the Essendon Football Club.
Cal Twomey's back on next Thursday night by the sounds of it.
Exclusively.